Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing well today. And in this video, we're going to be looking at Windwalker and how good are they? So Windwalker has always been quite a fast-paced, high-flying class that can generate some extreme bursts just out of the way. Abilities, their mastery, all interact together. So Touch of Death, Touch of Karma, Storm, Earth and Fire, Serenity, and abilities like Rising Sun Kick just doing extreme amounts of damage. So let's talk about how fun are they. They currently plays and relies quite heavily on using Touch of Death and Spinning Crane Kick. So Spinning Crane Kick certainly in a Mythic Plus environment, it focuses very heavily on applying your debuff to as many targets as possible, and then Spinning Crane Kick doing extreme damage. And as soon as one target gets low, you use your Touch of Death to kind of cleave off and execute other targets really. And this actually really put me off wanting to play the class, or the spec, sorry. And the reason for that is I didn't like the spec being so focused around an ability that has like a minute and a half cooldown. I didn't want to only be viable if I had Touch of Death up. And let me tell you, that's actually completely wrong. As much as that does a lot of damage, it's not the only thing in the spec. Um, Playing Windwalker has been really, really fun and actually quite simple, aside from Serenity, which the rotation of which can get very sweaty and min-maxy, but realistically you can play it just fine casually. But yeah, I mean overall I'd say it's a surprising 7 out of 10. They did it was a lot more fun than I initially expected, and I was put off by certain aspects of the spec, but I think I judged it a little bit too soonly. So viability, Windwalker is extremely viable at this time, and if you've ever wanted to play Windwalker or you've questioned it and you're not quite sure, try it. Honestly, now is the time. In Mythic Plus, you're likely to see a combination of 2 melee and 1 ranged DPS in most groups, which just puts tremendous amounts of burst out, and Windwalker's up there in terms of the best option to pick for that. One of those melees. It's currently the third highest represented melee DPS in all of Keys, behind Havoc and Fury Warrior. And overall, the sixth most represented DPS just overall, including ranged. And in terms of score, the top Windwalker is around 30 to 50 score from the top end keys. And we're likely to see them in MDI coming up in next weekend and all that sort of stuff. So Windwalker really is a top pick when it comes to Mythic Plus. Now in Raid, things aren't really that different. Windwalker is the fifth most represented DPS overall, third highest melee DPS representation, and ninth overall in performance. So very, very popular in Raid, even if they're not kind of the top 3 DPS spec. In Heroic, Windwalker drops down to the 16th best DPS in performance, however, still being the 6th most popular overall, which is quite impressive when you think about it. You could pretty much pick up and play this spec in all situations and you'd be absolutely fine currently. It's very, very popular, which means you shouldn't struggle to get into groups. It's in a fantastic spot. So I'm actually going to give it a 9 out of 10. Very, very good, well represented, and very popular at the moment. In terms of variants, Windwalker Monk seems to have 3 slightly different builds, all viable in different scenarios. So it's a single target build, a low count cleave build, which is like anything from 2 to 5 target, or 2 to 4 targets, probably better, and a high mob pack AoE build, basically. All of these are viable, and you'd have to pick the right scenario to use them. As an example, Agatha Academy, which is the footage I'm using at the moment, you probably could play the high mob count one and be absolutely fine, especially on a fortified week where you just group everything up, do massive, massive AoE damage. I personally have played the most around the low count cleave build, where I still have a good chunk of single target, but I'm also pretty good in like 2 to 4 mob packs as well. So yeah, I'm actually going to say that it's got a decent amount of class balance and some variety in the build. So an 8 out of 10 in variance, and overall a 24 out of 30. Pretty dang good for right now for Windwalker Monk. So if you are thinking about checking them out, now is definitely the time. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you later. Goodbye.